Well, welcome everyone. We are very blessed to have everyone on the call tonight. As we were looking at the names coming on, it was a moment of like, of course, these are our people, and especially in these early days of this call, this monthly ritual, uh, it's so meaningful and sacred for you all to be the holders and the keepers of this frequency with us, to share this time in real time. Of course, for those of you who will later capture this viewing and this energy on the replay, we so appreciate you.
Hi, on the replay.
And it is this merger of the capacity of technology, which is, of course, an outer reflection of our inner technology, that shows us what's really going on. And that is that we are on the planet at a very sacred time, the likes of which we'll speak to on this call. And we get to be here in 3D, meaning you're in your own time and space, and you're watching this from your mineral-based technology via silicone. Thank you, silicone, for this great capacity that we have. And that same silicone is in our bones. And it is through our connection, our alignment, that the silicone in our bones connects us to beyond, to the spaces in between. It's not only the third dimension as it holds our frame up, but the fourth and fifth dimension. And so for the folks who are watching this after this time period, sacred no less, as you will be tuning into this time period with us. So even though they're watching on the replay, they're here with us. It's just in a different space and time. And so part of the magic is this, the capacity to have this ability to transcend time and space through these calls and be conscious and present. So the power of that. So a little frame of the call tonight. Today's a very powerful day, and we knew that coming in. I didn't know the lights of which that power would extend and permeate me, and therefore us. And we'll be sharing more of that. So first, I just want to say that the first part of the call is going to be an honoring of our ancestors, as we have a few new ones that are significant to us, obviously on the planet daily. There are people that are exiting, and especially in these times. So first, we will give some voice and space to two powerful teachers that were in form and recently graduated. And that will also serve as a marker for really understanding the power of this time. There's this very special 12-day period that we're in on a galactic level, on a constellation level. And so we'll give some insight to that. And then we'll bring you into a really powerful ritual that has the capacity to see the next year, the next 365 days for you, for all of us.
And the rest of our lives.
And the rest of our lives.
Special bonus on this call.
Special bonus. Your life will change tonight.
If you want.
If you choose. If you let it. And you're also destined. It will happen. You have no choice. So it is free will, and it is happening, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So there's that. And then we're going to open it up to questions, and we will serve our live audience first and foremost, for you are here with us now, and there is no better now than the now we have right in front of us. And so we'll honor any and all questions that you have, from the most profound spiritual question, for which we will say we have not a fucking clue. And then after relaxing into that as an answer, we'll approximate our best version of an answer for you as well. And we'll also honor what is your favorite pizza topping. So anything in that spectrum is sacred.
Yeah.
And then we'll also honor the folks who sent in some questions, and we'll get some of those on the board tonight as well.
Let's go ahead and begin with honoring our ancestors, and
Yes.
maybe I can bring in the first one, and you can bring in the
Yes,
second one. Okay.
please.
Yeah. Some of you know that our work is heavily influenced by a culture named the Dagara culture in West Africa, and their wisdom was brought to us by a man named Malidoma Patrice Somé, and blessing, yeah, thank you, Mitch. And Malidoma passed away unexpectedly to us on last Friday, December 9th. He has entered the realm of the ancestors, and it's been really significant for us. We spent time with him, but for the amount of time that we spent with him, he has impacted us more than like anyone that we know of. Yeah. For the amount of time that we've been with him. And yeah, if you are interested in right now we celebrate, I'm just gonna say now we celebrate his life, and if you are interested in this, he's gone back to Africa for a funeral with his village, and then in Asheville in the spring there is going to be a ceremony here, because Asheville was like one of his hubs where he would be, and we're definitely going to be there, and we'll extend an invitation when that's happening, so you can be in with us. And if there's something you want to receive from him now, our favorite book of his, I think I can speak for us, is called Of Water and the Spirit. It's a 4-hour listen on Audible. It's really great.
My just to be clear, my favorite book is The Healing Wisdom of Africa. And closely tied. Okay. One's the autobiography, which Chelsea Rae speaks of, and the other is really an explanation of the way that the Dagara people from Burkina Faso, they live. And as I describe it, is the indigenous know how to be on this planet in a way that we don't. They know how to bring people into this world. They know how to support people to leave. And in fact, one of the rituals that they have is when a woman is pregnant, they make the assumption, not the word that they would use, that they are minus a gift. Their community must need a gift because there's a woman who's bearing a soul in her body. And so they do a ceremony and they bring the whole community together, and they bring the shaman in and ask, while in state of dancing and celebration, in state, they ask the woman to be the voice of this incoming baby to explain what is the gift that this baby is going to bring. And so the mother basically uses her body to speak the voice of the child and explains why he or she is coming. And from that explanation, they give the name. And Malidoma means bridge. And so he was the bridge for the teachings of their culture and Western culture. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to spend thousands of hours with teachers, mentors, and in one weekend with Malidoma, I changed the trajectory of my life in a way that, you know, no other has. And he showed up to a men's weekend, having just lost his wife, and basically opened up to this group of 17 men and said that he didn't know why he was on the planet. He was considering that everything that he had learned was complete shit, that he had been fooled. that he was very, very angry at spirit and the ancestors for taking his love and form away. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, this is the most authentic male that I've ever experienced, that he was that open and vulnerable to share and to not have any inkling of his being thinking like, oh, all these men are paid money and they expect me to show up as a teacher. He showed up as a human being because he is a human being first. And from his human beingness being so full, his teachings emerged, different than someone showing up as a teacher attempting to teach what they know. He just embodied being a human being in deep grief. And by the end of the weekend, allowed the ritual that his culture has and that he shared with us, and our experiences of that connection with water, with earth, with fire, to help him remember that in fact spirit moved even more deeply through him, even more his purpose was there. And it was an incredibly empowering weekend, and what you receive on the table every single time is because of this man. So that was last Friday, and this morning I had the opportunity to go to my son Maxwell's school for the winter spiral, and he said to me, Dad, make sure you pick up the pamphlet. He's not 5 yet, and so I assured him I would pick up the pamphlet. So I dropped him off at school, came home, and in the morning I'm writing a book now about what we're doing, which is a series of stories. And I read the very first paragraph about the winter spiral, which is today, and used it as a quote in my book for the very thing that I was writing about, which is the time that we will be talking about in just a moment. And the perfection of that moment was so clear to me that through my son's words, he would assure a portion of my book through the writings of his teacher. Her direct words would land in my book about this winter spiral, which is an honoring of being connected to the most light in the darkest time of the year. And as I would arrive home, I would receive through Chelsea Rae a text from a practice member, a client who to me now is like one of our self-appointed ambassadors. She's like walking community. Her name is, I hope I can share this. Give me a thumbs up if I can share this. Yeah, her name is Jen Ross, and it's very likely that you've met her because she seems to make her way around the entire community, knowing that that is just, I'm pretty sure Jen in some language means bearer of community, as she's the living expression of that. And she asked if I could come over to another member of our community's house because their daughter was going to pass today. And their daughter is 13 years old. And I have witnessed this 13-year-old, very incredibly tapped in, tuned in, brilliant woman, disguised as a girl, teacher, disguised as a teenager. I've seen her in, just glimmers, just moments, not what the family has had to bear. Experience more pain over the course of a year than many people experience over the course of 80 years. And I looked up her name because I do that. And in French, her name is Alana. Her first name is Alana. Her middle name is Joy. I didn't need to look that up. Ida. And Alana in French means she who embraces. And what a perfect expression of a name that she was. She embraced everything in her path. She was also, from my perspective, the highest level of teaching that anyone could ever have, that I always aspire to have. And she was the embodiment of was sacred silly. She lived sacred silly through pain. She would come into the office, she would get on the table, and in tremendous amount of pain, somehow get me to smile. And I'm not a person that lacks smiles. And so I had the deep honor to be with them today, to be with the family, to be with her on her last breath. And I know in the heart of my heart, that in the deepest, in the marrow of my bones, I know that her legacy has only begun, that the ripple that Ivana was and the people that she impacted over the course of a very short time, 13 years, 13 representing the unknown, feminine power, that she is only beginning her work on the world, which ultimately was play. And that's what she's here to leave. Her parents are on the call tonight, and in a moment, I want us to all just tune in together. And one of the things that I know from Maladoma's teaching in the Jagara people is that, and I said this years before I knew about them, and so I'll say it in my own words, and that is that we don't enter this world alone, we don't live in this world alone, and we don't leave this world alone. And sometimes, even though we are alone, it is through that amalgamation of form, people, the embodiment of spirit in matter. And it appears that we're alone. And the truth is that we are surrounded by formless beings, by our spirit team, by angels. And that is also what I believe Alana's teaching will be, is to know and trust for the family that her life was guided, that their process of grieving is guided, and that community is to bear witness to our grief, and that we are not meant to grieve alone in the dark quiet of our own home, that it is to be held in community. And so my request is, my invitation for your own well-being is to be part of this. And one of the great skill sets that will emerge, and I will be a voice for humanity in my lifetime, is the power of emotion to include grieving towards joy, Alana's middle name. And so let's take a moment together as community, in community, and honor these incredible teachers, Malidoma, Patrice Somé, Lana, Joy, Ida. And let's hold space for them for safe, easy passage, for which they're both likely already deeply engaged in. And let's allow space and grace for the families of both, that their grieving is not alone, that we are here for them and with them. And let's allow space for these sacred passings to also ignite any grief that we have not felt over the course of our lifetime. And that we use this as an opportunity for our own waters to flow. When I left this morning, thank you all so much. When I left this morning, I just received just the other day this candle from my wife, Chelsea Rae, as an offering to me. And I got on the phone as I was driving over and I said, will you please light the candle for Alana? And so this candle has been burning and is representation of the light that she is, the light that Maladoma is, and the light that they are returning to. And remembrance for all of us that this is a sacred opportunity for us to live our purpose unabashedly, boastfully, loudly, and quietly when necessary.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling called to support, we are going to be supporting the Edas with a meal train. Meal train is a website that helps us set up food so we can organize like who's bringing food each day, like let's take care of them. And you'll be getting an email about that soon. So
yeah, thank you in advance.
Thank you in advance. And yeah.
The one other thing I forgot that I must say is Liana in Hebrew means my God has answered. And I felt that to be so fitting of her as well.
Thank you. And
shall we talk about this time?
Yeah, let's talk about this time. I know this topic might have been unexpected for y'all, and above all else, we always be with what is. We always be with what's real, what's alive right now. And I know it's not just us. We're in a big, powerful, and also challenging time right now. And I know y'all feel it. Y'all feel your own life and the collective, and it's a lot to be present with at this moment. And we want to shine a little light on like what's going on a galactic level. So the sun, were you going to talk about the sun? Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
The sun is is aligned with the constellation called Ophiuchus or Ophiuchus, and Ophiuchus is the healer. Often at this time, big stuff gets brought up. It's the darkest time on Earth. And also there is it shines light on that darkest stuff when we have the space to really be with it. And there is ripe change available, transformation available in this time. And it's where Hanukkah lies. It is a very special time. It's a window of about 2 weeks. And we're using true sidereal astrology to see this alignment. And specifically today, not just the sun in Ophiuchus, but the sun is in alignment with the galactic center. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So Chelsea Rae mentioned that this is coming from true sidereal astrology, which is accurate to where the stars are at any given time. And so it also honors that there's not just 12 constellations, but there is this missing 13th, which happens for 12 days, starting, I believe, December 7th and going to the 18th, somewhere around that time period, 6th to the 18th. And it is many times where Hanukkah is. It's not always, but it is this time period. And there are 11 sacred religious holidays that are in this time period. So the ancients knew the power of this. And what it means for the sun to be aligned with the galactic center is basically, so the Milky Way is the galaxy that we're in. And if you look at the Milky Way, it's the spiral, right? So if you look at a picture, it's this like swirling spiral that's literally moving in through time and space. And at the very center of it is the galactic center. And so what that means is that our sun is aligning with the galactic center, which basically means, and this is such a sweet paradox, that in the time where the sun has, at least in our hemisphere, has the least amount of light in our hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, we are actually receiving the highest level of cosmic frequency energy that is coming from the galactic center to our sun and then straight to us on Earth. So, I mean, kind of a perfect deal where we have this opposition of dark and stillness and inwardness. At the same time, we're getting bombarded, showered with this galactic energy. What does that mean? Well, it means in the culture, distract as much as possible. Spend all your time in lines at a mall trying to grab the last box of whatever. Yeah, get your last minute shopping and freak the fuck out, because then you can stay super asleep and unconscious.
Make sure your cookies are baked.
And nut to the right color and everything. You don't follow that recipe, you're a bad
13
human.
parties this week.
You go to everyone and get super blasted and wake up hungover and fat every morning, so that you cannot attune. That's the message that's coming through the airwaves. And it's, you know, it's not like the dark is out to get the lights. The dark's saying, hey, we're doing a better job than you, wake up. So they're doing a really good job of supporting the light to wake up and be as bold as they are, because they've been bold on this planet for many years. And they're like, hey, the only way we're going to stop being bold is if you step in and do your job, light workers. So quit your healing process and get off your ass and get out of your yoga asana samadhi position and fucking do something. So here we are, we're fucking doing something from here on out. And we're going to encourage y'all to do the same. And our teachers who left this planet are also like, hey, you can't follow us as a guru anymore because we're getting the fuck out of here. So that you also can feel helpless. So then you can just grab your spiritual stuff and go for it. Because we did.
It feels like our teachers were like, we said what we said. You heard us. It happened.
You got the book.
We're done.
Peace
Bye.
out.
You got this now.
Yeah. And so at the same time, people who are big players on the planet, like Maladoma, like Alana Joy, like, who's the other woman who?
Bell Hooks.
Like Bell Hooks, are leaving right now, because anyone leaving at this time in a fucus where the alignment is there, they're creating an increased permeability between the divine, so dimensions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the fourth, third, second, first. So the land of form. That's where we are. So this time period for all of us, it can be so easy for us to tune in to why we're here. And in fact, that is going to be the gift of our connection tonight.
That's the special invitation.
That's the special sauce invitation.
Yeah.
So we're going to go right into that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is your chance to jump in. And this is our invitation to you at this moment, at this day. How can we best participate in the galactic dance? The question for you is, you might already know, and that's great if you even have a list for this answer. What is your purpose for being on the planet? Why did you come here? Why are you here? And if you would like some additional guidance in this for this right now, because I know that can be an evolving answer and question too, right? So
it gets to be.
It gets to be. Something that's really helpful right now for me is holding the grief in one hand, the challenge, the feelings that you have towards what's happening on the planet right now. Hold that in one hand and the way that you see it. And in the other hand, you have your vision. And the other hand, you have what your heart desires and the way you want to live, the world you want to create, the world you know is possible, the life you desire for yourself and for others. And you hold them both. And this is a unique perspective that only you have. And this is a gap, right? These two aren't the same thing.
Say them again. What's the two?
This is the grief and the challenge of the time. and the hardship of this time right now, that whatever feels burdensome, whatever feels heavy, the way that you see it, the problems you witness.
Yes.
And then this is what you want to see for the world.
Yes.
This gap is particularly and uniquely and solely yours. Nobody sees it exactly the way that you see it. And therein lies your path. That is yours to do. That is your task.
That's your gift.
That's your gift, your perspective. Only you see that the way you see it, I promise you.
Yeah.
So if you're looking and seeing like, why is it like this? Well, because you're not done yet.
Yeah.
That's why. And
so take a moment, grab a piece of paper and a pen, grab a crayon and the back of a magazine. You can make anything sacred.
Grab your phone, the notes in your
notes
iPhone.
in your iPhone.
Whatever you got.
Anything that's in your hands right now is sacred text, because you're about to make it that. And just write a few words that describes what are you the answer to? What is your frequency that is here to be expressed?
What do you want for the world?
And in this divine, sacred moment of galactic alignment, like no other day, like no other moment in the year, you have access to this alignment. And so trust what you write and know that even though this moment is here and it will leave, soon it will leave, you also have this moment extended until December 18th. And so let this be a meditation for you.
Yes.
So just write a few words, write a sentence or two. What is your purpose for being on the planet right now?
Okay. It doesn't have to be all there right now, but I know you got to start. And here's the second invitation. I'm gonna let one person in. Here's the second part of that invitation. Here's the special part of this timing. The pain helps us with the awareness, and the galactic center is an invitation to say yes to it. What you wrote down is probably huge. It's probably really big. It's probably not going to be only you, and it's important that you move on it.
Yes.
And so even though you may feel like you can't, or you're not ready, I promise you that you are ready for the next step.
Yes.
You are ready for the next thing. And so what if you told the universe today, okay, I'm in.
What the fuck?
Put me in. I'm in.
What else am I gonna do?
I'll do it. What else are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
It's more painful to sit
Watch
by.
more Netflix?
It is more painful to sit by.
Tell yourself you can't do it 1,000 more times?
And
I've done
what
that.
if you just started saying yes? And what if that just meant it only means yes to the next step? Because you're gonna take that step, and then things are gonna shift, and the universe is gonna match you, and you're gonna get the support you need to then take the next step. And then the universe is gonna change and match you. And then you will continue to get the support that you need and the people around you to be in it with you, but you are the leader of your life. And so what if you could say yes to it right now, and also start saying no to the things that aren't that?
That's right.
Your no is just as powerful, and you gotta cut some things off at times, even if it's your own limiting beliefs and stuff.
Let your yes be fuck yes and your no be fuck no.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so we would also like to invite you into community. As I mentioned, we don't come into this world alone. We don't live in this world alone. We don't believe it alone. And so it also means that you do not bring your mission alive by yourself. It's impossible. And if you have been, then of course it hasn't happened, because it's never meant to be that way. So if you feel okay with it, our invitation is to write a little something in the chat box so that you can be held and witnessed in community.
Yeah.
This is sacred community.
Yes.
We are your people. All of us are your people. Look no further. The community is going to grow, and you have also more communities that you will wake up to. And tonight is a powerful offering to say yes to not only yourself and your purpose, it's an opportunity to say yes to yourself and your reason for being in community. So go ahead and pop things in the chat box. Doesn't have to be perfect. One word can do it.
Judith let us off, guided to do a detox this month. Amazing. My purpose is to bring in the new paradigm, Linda. Yeah. Yes.
So we'll keep bringing these in. We'll keep sharing them. So throughout the entire call, when you're ready, just pop it in there and we'll give voice to it. And we want to transition. I know this is a lot. And you're doing wonderfully.
Life is a lot right now, isn't it?
Sure.
My purpose is to radiate the light that I am.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh,
we're here as water bearers and to join with all others called to this. Speak to the truth for myself and the children. Yes.
Beautiful. So we're going to move into the questions part. And so we're going to do a little dance here because we're going to do us a favor, and if you have a question,
you can also pop that in.
Pop that in, but start with a Q ... and with your Q, we'll know that that's a question, and then we'll do a little we'll do a little time with that.
We do have some questions that are awesome that were pre-sent in, and a couple of y'all are here, and we have your questions if you have sent them in. So and we'll definitely do that, and we wanted to allow this present moment to offer us questions first.
Sarah says, seeing the truth and that it is a spectrum, speaking honestly, owning what is real, inviting others to discover their own deep truth and knowing. So beautiful. Oh, yeah. Got it.
To spread compassionate connection through creative outlets and to help myself and others increase awareness and embodiment of personal power to transform health and help from plants and plant medicines. Awesome.
And Judith is not only doing a detox, that's not her life purpose. That's something she's called to.
That was a calling.
Yeah, that's a calling. The
Christ frequency arrived in a big way last week. My purpose is to embody and share what radiates through me. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. I am here to heal and hydrate the world to peace and prosperity. I'm here to show the greatest expression that uniquely lives within each being.
Yes, you are.
Kayla, to fully feel, to share pure essence, and thus to witness others on their healing paths from that space.
Yes.
Colleen, to feel a deep connection, and for all of us to feel that connection, a trusting of our value and what we have to offer.
Yes. Yes. Oh, Colleen, I love hearing that from you. I love hearing that from you.
These are giving me life right now.
Beautiful. So if anyone has a question, go ahead and pop it in there. And if not, we have a reservoir.
Okay.
Oh,
Linda starts us off.
Question.
On the table, I go back to past lives, I guess, and get through them on the table or later. Do I need to keep doing this? I think there are lots of past lives.
Okay, great question. Great question. So here's part of why I am here to answer the question that we asked all of you, and that is to be a living embodiment and expression of transformation through the death and rebirth process. And at times that will be literally be there to support catching babies coming into the world and support people leaving this world on a bigger, much more kind of reason. My writing, my speaking will be about the importance of learning how to live and die and keep your body. And for some, that will be very important. Some, it will be important to leave. And so for those of you who are in this process, Lynn, I'm so glad that you asked this question because it isn't anything that we have been sharing yet, and we will be beginning to be very much vocal about. There is a part of what we're doing that supports people to go through transitions and other realities that I like to say didn't end so well. Obviously, from one perspective, none of them end so well because we all die, right? But depending upon your perspective, of course, if you're living, at some point you're going to die. So what I mean by that is a traumatic end to a life. And it appears in my kind of awareness of going through this process myself, and witnessing other people, that when we have a traumatic death, we get these little bookmarks, these little splits that happen. And when we come into another reality form, as we are all engaged in right now, the ability to safely move through a traumatic death experience allows us more easily to transfer. Like what I like to say is, it's like if you're at a community college, you take a course, you want to make sure you can get the credits to transfer to your university. Otherwise, there's no point. You don't get the actual credit. So in other realities where we die and we're not able to fully experience the death from a perspective of safety, then once we do, we're able to pull that energy and information, and boom, in this lifetime, in this reality, suddenly we have access to that other lifetime, other reality, and we start to look like superhumans every time that happens, because we're literally downloading an entire lifetime of energy in this reality and able to express it in a conscious way.
Let us know if that feels like, oh, that satisfied what I was asking.
Beautiful.
Yeah, sounds like keep doing it and
Yes.
Yeah. And
So
it's going to help you do the magic. Like that's how you're going to transcend time and space and help you do the magic that you're called to do. Because you're going to pull in some magic through those experiences.
Yeah.
Non-linear.
So it's nothing you really have to figure out. If it happens, it just means that that's necessary part of your evolution in this reality of alignment.
And I want to mention to people too, like if this hasn't happened for you, if you're like, what are they talking about? Like, that's okay. That is not required. It will happen if it needs to for you. And so
Yes.
not a requisite.
Yeah.
It's just something that does happen for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yes.
great. That's great, because my new chapter is called Magic, and I just bought a new car called and named it Magic. So yeah.
There you go.
Good.
There you go.
Good.
Thank you for the question, Linda.
Yeah, thank you for leading us off.
Yes. Anyone
we haven't had any other questions yet, but pop them in if you want. And I want to honor Judith's question because she's here.
Yes.
She asked, what processes are in place / happening during session to assist released energies in transmuting out of client and, as importantly, out of the space? So we took that question to mean, and so you're here, so you get to inform us if we need to lean a little bit. We took that to mean basically like, how do we keep the space clean, essentially? And for lack of a better word, energetically clean. Yeah, like how when someone is on the table in front of you and they have a big experience and you're like, whoa, like I've never experienced that before, or whatever, how do you get on that table and still get to have what you're meant to have in your session? So that is an awesome question.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have had that question.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Judith, that you want to say about that? Did we get, first, before we spin off on this, did we get what you were saying?
Yeah. Yeah, you got exactly what I was saying. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Well, I love this question because it's multifaceted and it has many layers to it. So my first answer to that is, I've been in practice for 26 years now. And as you can imagine who I am in 26 years, you can imagine I've probably seen a thing or two.
Some shit has gone down.
Some shit's gone down. And when I was in my early years, I had, first off, I would see like 6 clients and I would have to nap for like 3 hours. And then I would see like another 4 clients, and that would be it. I would see 10 people and I would sleep 3 hours a day. Then I would go home and sleep 10 hours a night and wake up exhausted. And why that happened is because every person that I worked with who started to unwind some level of trauma, if I had not been through that experience myself and I have resonance with that, then I would need to process that. And that took a lot of time and energy. So it's not like I wasn't protected. It was that my system was starting to be sensitized to when people would heal something. If I had that healing to be done, it would start to vibrate in my body and come from the background to the foreground. So that started to quicken my process, because the more people I worked with, then the more people that worked with me, And now after 26 years, it's very rare that I work with someone where I'm like, whoa, I need to, you know, other than my own self-care, which we actually, since I met Chelsea Rae, I began self-care, truly. But before that, you know, for 24, I don't know, I'm not going to do the math, but it's 2 decades at least. I really didn't do that much other than just receive the work, and that was not enough. So my self-care increased tremendously. The other thing, and I'm going to let Chelsea Rae come in here because she has her own version of this. The other thing was, in those early years, the less conscious you are about the process you're engaged in, the more spiritual divine help you have. So the way I describe my angels in the beginning is like, they were just like running all up. The first 26 years of my life, it was them attempting to keep me on the planet. I mean, like every weekend from, you know, when I was like 15 till I was like 28, I was pretty much blackout drunk or high or something. So they were pretty much constantly saving my life. Yes, that's your healer. Your healer's been healing thyself for a very long time. So I got some skills to pay those bills because I've, you know, like I said, I've seen some things. So my people have been very much taking care of me and everyone that I work with. There is a spiritual arrangement that's happened there. Now, caveat, as soon as I become more awake and aware to that, the more responsibility lies on me, the more they get to like kick back and let me do some of the stuff. And so self-care has been a big part of that. Now, part of where Chelsea Rae really comes in is once I became conscious enough to realize, okay, some spiritual hygiene is necessary. She really has been kind of commander-in-chief of that domain. So you want to speak to some of those things?
Thank you. The simplest and I think most effective thing that we be is just who we are during, you know, when we hold space for people, when we're doing something, like we just have this. And actually, Judith, your question brought it up because we're like, why are we like, it's like, we talked about this today. We just know we hold the space that absolutely all the time, everyone is safe.
Yeah.
No exceptions.
Yeah.
Period. Everyone is safe and everyone is getting what they are meant to receive. And so that's, I think, the most powerful part is just the space that we hold.
Which is ultimately agreement with those invisible forces that say like, hey, we're here doing our 3D diligence in terms of why we're here and what we're doing. You are here to hold the space, contain the space, make sure the space is clear and safe. And so it is this agreement that we have now on a much more conscious level that just makes it not an issue. Now, I think it's important to speak to what happens when a person's on the table and, you know, Bedlam is next door and, you know, they're starting to feel, what the fuck,
so
this is not safe.
If something is going on in the room, you're there and it rattles you, you know, like someone's really, really going through something, they're really releasing something, and it is, your body does not feel good about it. It's like, you feel it, you know, what that means is that your system, either you have that in your system and you haven't done what they're doing, like you haven't let out the scream, you haven't cried about it. Your body is like, oh, I'm next. Like I want to, basically, is what your body needs to process that same frequency. Or maybe your body has literally never encountered that before and it's the first time. It's kind of like when you encounter a germ and your body's like, oh, what's this?
Yes.
I'm just gonna make this like immune response, and your body knows what to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna vomit and fever and
then learn what that germ is, right? So it's kind of like invisible germ theory.
Yeah. This is really
right.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So this is very important too, because right now, especially in our culture, I mean, think about the environment we live in. We go into a public space and we wear a mask, or at least we do if we do if we're told and we follow that, right? The reality is that the mask is, well, I'm not even gonna go down that road. That's an entirely other call. But let's just say this for now. The truth is that, think about it. If you've ever watched a baby, they crawl around and they put every single thing. Like if there's a turd, a baby will just grab it and shove it in its mouth. Like, and it will be for the betterment of the baby, because it's literally programmed from the reptilian brain to grab everything in sight and shove it in. Why? Because the reptilian brain, which is in charge of healing, is sending it out on a seeking message to make known the outside such that the inside recognizes it either as self or non-self. And if it's non-self, then it will learn how to create the exact right white blood cell to basically destroy that. Now, right now we live in a culture which looks at other than self, and most people are terrified of it. We call it COVID, we call it Delta, we call it Omicron, we call it whatever. Now, certainly that doesn't mean go, yeah, we call it bad energy. So it could be the same thing, germ theory placed upon energetic theory. And it's like, I don't want to catch the germ or the energy.
Yeah.
And so, yes, in a weakened state, yes, someone who has a weak immune system or a weak energy system will be susceptible to unwanted energies, unwanted germs, and not be able to navigate the territory. What we are working with is supporting your system's alignment such that your energy knows what is your own energy and what is not your energy. And the more light you radiate, the less, let's say, dark energies can, do anything to you or with you. You become sovereign in yourself and your energy.
Yes.
Same thing with your immune system.
So exactly. So when you're in the room and that happens, what will happen is your body will go into the frequency, the pattern that we need to work with to help you gain that sovereignty.
Right.
Like your body is so smart.
Insane.
So start to trust this. I want to give you permission to trust this process even more. And that if that happens when you're there, you're supposed to be around it. And that's for your highest good, so that your body can learn that next level of immunity.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you.
I want to ask, we're going to take 2 seconds. Everyone hang for just a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so we had, some unexpected stuff at the beginning of the call for you. Typically we'd end in 5 minutes. And we know we have some more questions that people have sent in. And so we're willing to stay 10 minutes after to continue answering questions. And if you need to go, that's okay. Totally fine. But we are cool to spend a little more time with you.
Yes. And we could take that. Sure. We could take that 10 minutes and we could turn it into 10 hours. And we're also going to go to abundance, which is reality. And that is that next month we'll be on a call. So the sacredness of
this ball's going to keep rolling
of life, the sacredness of life, and the importance of the honoring that we did and are still doing and still holding space for. At times on these calls will decrease the amount of question time, and at the same time, what we're seeing these calls emerge into is questions are a part of it. And we certainly want to honor that, and living life and learning how to live life and utilizing really what's in front of us as a means for us to gather in community is of the highest order for us in these calls. So the questions is a way for us to have a dialogue.
Yeah. And we want to make sure you're getting what you're coming for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So does anyone, oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Is there?
There's something.
There we go.
Oh, question.
Yeah.
Kayla, to say that the floodgates are opening in a greater capacity is an understatement.
Yes.
Congratulations. I just recently transitioned into channeling and receiving on such a deeper level since starting care. Whoa, which was recent.
Amazing.
Great. What are some tools that you have experienced to deepen this connection during my time in between sessions outside of consistent breath work, meditation, etc.? Anything more specific / outside the box to refine this connection?
Oh gosh, I love this. Well, first off, I just want to say congratulations, Kayla. You are not alone in this amount of awakening and this quickening that's happening. And I want to speak to the power and the value of you and everyone, but I'm speaking to you right now specifically. And by you, Kayla, I also mean everyone on this call. So just you, Kayla, no one else, and everyone on the call. So I just want to make sure that I'm not confusing anyone, but I'm speaking directly to Kayla and everyone simultaneously. Okay, so for you, Kayla, I would really also encourage that the question that we asked right now in this sacred time, or until December 18th, that you ask this question every day to further and further refine, knowing that these floodgates are opening, and for you to ask whatever spirit, God, universe, whatever it is that you connect with, and ask for clarity, and also ask for guidance on what will support you to hone in and really nurture this gift that's coming forward. And so with that, also knowing that, you know, you are an insanely nurturing human being, like crazy amount of nurturing. I would also just reflect back to you that what you need, okay, and I'm going to use need first, and then that need will grow into a want, and that want will grow into a desire, and it may also start off as a desire. So I'm just going to leave that chain in there. But what you need for yourself to be nurtured, knowing that you're also a mother and you are a wife, like you give. So what is it that you need to be nurtured? And that is also imperative for you to continue to receive in this way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And anyone too, Kayla and everyone wanting to grow your gifts more, that thing we did at the beginning, like what are you meant to say yes to and what are you meant to say no to? Every chapter of life, every day, every moment, we have these decision points. And I don't want to pressure this situation, but I want you to know that you have power in every situation. And if you don't like the choice you make, by the way, you can always choose again.
You get to change your mind like 20 times a day.
And so I wonder, like, what would be the most honoring or supportive or nurturing choice today? And the answer so the task that you have is actually just follow your intuition or instinct or insights, follow the guidance that you get. That might be like, take a bath, might be call your mom, might be like, make this Facebook post or sell this thing or go to the grocery store now, or, you know, like it, just follow that, learn to follow that guidance, even though it might be non-linear, it might not make sense. Trust it. Trust it.
100%.
And that is the universe starting, you and the universe establishing greater and deeper and stronger relationship, so that an intimacy, so that when things get bigger and bigger and bigger, you have grown this relationship and you trust yourself and you trust life. And so I would say honoring each moment and day in this way of your choices.
The micro reflects the macro. So when we approach these little things, like, you know, even like, do I pull the dishes out of the dishwasher or do I change my underwear? And you're like, oh, what feels better? Underwear, definitely. Like even to that level, and we trust it inherently, we start to feel the flow of it. You know, like I like to get down to that ridiculous level of micro. It will inform you walking into a very busy party and you see like one person, another person, you're like, I'm going to speak to this person, and you go to speak to this person. One's the dishes, one's the underwear, and the underwear person, same, like they're the one that has this opportunity for you that changes the course of your life. And so it is in these little that the big show up, and we show up in a way that honors the little and the big as equals, and it's magic.
Yes.
Cool.
I want to honor another question, unless we
we're good.
get one. Mitch sent us in a question, and you're on the call, so we want to make sure we answer it. Okay. This question is so good. I was so excited to see this. Here's Mitch's questions, y'all. I have experienced that both of you, Brian and Chelsea Rae, are open to possibilities within the unwinding of the spine. Okay. I love that and believe in unlimited possibilities in life and in my life. What tips or suggestions do you have for how we can maintain this perspective when we're interacting with other people, especially medical personnel that are treating us,
Mhm.
that have limited perspectives and belief systems on what is possible in healing.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in making anyone wrong. We love that.
Yeah.
And yet I don't want to affirm their limited beliefs from my body.
Wonderful.
Word.
Amazing.
Right.
So good.
And what we felt initially the strongest when we read this question was, you have options.
Mhm.
It, especially now, more and more and more, the world is changing rapidly. There is more of a rainbow, a spectrum of options that you have, whereas it used to be more like hospital or die in the wilderness.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
used to be like,
Yeah.
and now, or like your energy healer, you
Right.
know. And so it's not so much like that
Yeah.
anymore. You have options, and I wanna say that because I want your path to be effortless and synchronistic and matched. I want you to know you get to work with people you love to work with.
Yes,
So
including
there-
MDs.
Yes, there
Yeah.
are medical professionals
Yeah.
who have expanded horizons.
Yes, I mean,
Who
like,
believe in you.
yeah. So we'll just throw out one name. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are dozens, hundreds, probably thousands of medical doctors
Mm-hmm.
who are, awake, aware. Zach Bush is someone who is like such a brilliant voice in speaking the truth on physiology, on energetics, on a lot of things. And so, do you need to get in Zach Bush's care? No. And just know that he has followers. There are people.
Yeah.
So first of all, you can decide and choose and say, like, I am ready. And honestly, what I love about this question, Mitch, is the question. So something that we talk about that came up to me is like this moment of like, just, wow, that's fucking brilliant. In our program, the Genius Generation, I had this realization while I was talking that a question is a quest. So searching for ions, energy. So when someone asks a question, they're in search of energy. And the quality of the question defines the frequency of the energy that they're seeking. So by the nature of your question, you're already telling all of us that you're aligned to be in relationships that you're aligned to be in. And so you're at a conscious point of choice where then it becomes imperative that we don't need to argue with those who are not in alignment. We just say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your perspective. And, bye-bye.
And you get
and then we get to choose someone who is aligned for us.
great. Oh my gosh, Linda, I never would have expected this.
This
I
is
go
great.
to Zach Bush's clinic in
There you
Virginia.
go.
His staff is great. If you
Well,
have
what the
questions
hell?
about this, please
Why
call
say
me.
you can't go see Zach Bush? You can. Linda's
Literally
gonna hook you up.
anything's possible.
That's how we roll here. We know people that know people.
And so let that be a sign
Yeah.
that anything is possible. And I really want you guys to know whatever it is that you're looking for, your version of Mitch's question, you get to have it.
Yes.
And I want you to know that what you're looking for, I want you to know you're going to find it.
Yes.
Like you're going to find it, and you have to know that as you draw it to you. And as you draw it to you, you are going to feel a lot of stuff that is not that.
Mhm.
And so know that that is like the suction factor.
That's sacred too.
That's actually very powerful, and that draws the experience towards you when you feel all the stuff that's like, oh, I never am in relationships, like all that wounding stuff.
Yeah, that's just all the stuff that's been in the way of what it is that you're
yet.
actually now seeking. And so as you're processing, you're just getting rid of all the stuff that's not that. And then what shows up will be that
Yes.
on the other side of that. So
because
beautiful.
And the relevance of this is that when you step into, a clinic, a house, a hospital, a place where you are going to surrender your body, there is a certain field, a certain reality, and a set of outcomes that happens in that place. And so you're surrendering to that, and so like you get to choose who you are in resonance with.
Now, I do want to speak to one thing here, and that is we're speaking on the free will side of the equation. True.
Okay.
True. And there's also destiny. So there are going to be these moments where you are doing everything that you possibly can to choose free will. And I'm sorry, my friends, it's not an entirely free will game. It is a game of destiny as well. And so in those moments where you're feeling like, but I did all the things, I did the mantras, I wrote the stuff, I got the care, my chakras are all spinning in the right direction, I ate all the food, and here you are in what appears to be the very last thing that you would ever want to be in, which feels like a fucking nightmare shit show, that is no less sacred. And it is in the moments that we can accept our destiny and recognize that God has not missed us. You know, she did not get our email. She got it, he got it, they got it. It is simply that there are some things that we have to go through, that we signed up as souls, and yes, they're painful. Earth is a trauma-based learning education center. Whether you like it or not, you signed up for it. And so there are going to be these moments where we're just like, fuck, why? And we can't understand it in the moment. But as we move through the moment and we get to the other side and we realize that we can make it, and we do feel the grace, and we do the thing that we said we would never do, and that's what actually opens up to ask for help, that opens up to community, that opens us up to say, I love you to people that we want to say fuck you to, and it allows us to say fuck you to the people who want to say I love you to, and we do all the things that we didn't want to do, which is exactly at some moments what spirit must provide for us. There is a wholeness that our free will cannot bring us to, because free will is simply a series of choices of unicorns and rainbows and lollipops, and I want all those things. I want all those things. And sometimes I just don't get them. And so when we're able to be in those dark, deep moments, think of how we started this call. Think of the pain that that families are feeling right now, families all over the planet that we don't even know. Yeah. We're losing people. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have to endure the pain of that. And sometimes it is our destiny. And so all we can do in those moments is relax into wholeness of the moment that we don't like, and know that we were taken care of, that we are always taken care of, that our steps are never misguided, that our decisions are never wrong. And it's simply just a matter of learning, sometimes through glorious, blissful, sensual pleasure, and sometimes, which we align to as much as we possibly can with our conscious desire, and sometimes it's just destiny, and we just have to be with it. And yes, it's painful and it's hard. And it also builds these muscles that we would never, ever fucking sign up for that gym ever in our life consciously. We would never go to that gym. And then we go to that gym and we exercise that muscle, and we find a part of ourselves that we realize brought more to the table than the unicorn, rainbow, glittery, yummy choice of free will ever would.
They're both true.
And therein lies, and they are both true, the nature of what we're here to bring together as one in our own being, together, alone and all one, both, but never alone. Just seems that way. So I think this is the end of our call.
Yeah. How's everyone?
Yeah. Please, please, please take such tender care of yourselves tonight. Yes. Over these sacred days. Please take tender care of yourselves. You're all absolutely necessary for the universe. You're all immense beings beyond what you could ever imagine.
You are major players.
You are major players in a grand time. It's sacred to be on this planet. Yes, it's ghetto, and it's also sacred. Like, there are beings who would be like, I would never go down to Earth. And then there are beings like us who go, I will.
We ride at dawn.
Because we know the specialness that comes with a soul that has the Earth badge in their passport. It is sacred territory, my friends. So,
oh my God, we love you big.
We love you big. We thank you so much for being here with us. We are going to grow our community, and we so appreciate your help and support in that. We cannot do this alone. And our commitment is that we are continuing to grow ourselves in our inner community and bring that to you, and for us collectively to be the answer in community of other communities to the question that is upon us on this planet right now. So with that, blessings as we emerge tonight in the galactic center, moving towards the end of the dark on the planet in this year and the years that come. So thank you.
Thank you all. Take care of yourself like you are God.
Because you are.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.